You are listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network.
Hey, this is Ken Shamrock, world's most dangerous man, and they call me the Godfather. You're listening to Down the Aisles.
He's back. Welcome to Down the Aisles Radio. I am Kevin Laramee, your host. You can follow me on Twitter at Kev Laramee. That's at KEVLARAMEE. Seth Rollins is back, and he made quite a comeback. And yes, you could say he's back in black because there was nothing babyface like, but outside of the fact that he laid out Roman Reigns. Yeah, it was after the match. Clean finish. Roman Reigns speared AJ Styles midair during a phenomenal forearm for the 1, the 2, and the 3. Roman Reigns retains the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE one. Welcome to Down the Aisle Radio. Lines are open. You can give us a call right now, 802-375-7445 to talk about tonight's pay-per-view. We had a couple of great matches. The fatal four-way for the Intercontinental Championship was quite amazing. A lot of great spots, a lot of great intensity, storytelling. The way it started with Sami Zayn haluva kicked right in the mouth of Kevin Owens to give a different dimension to the start of this match. And I really like the way this match was laid out. It would be interesting to see down the road who laid out this match. We'll probably be able to read about it in The Observer coming next week. But this match was very well laid out. Again, lines are open. Give us your thoughts after this pay-per-view. Only one title change today in the pay-per-view. We go right now to the open lines. Area code 916. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from California, Sacramento.
What's your name?
Travis.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. What did you think about the pay-per-view tonight?
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, okay. I enjoyed the whole Ambrose and all that. The women's championship kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that the Ambrose title match was amazing. I was out of my chair.
It was better than anticipated, right? That Asylum match, first of all, the first ever kind of, but not really. Asylum match was really interesting. You had that strap, the strap spot I really like where, well, Chris Jericho really strapped the hell out of Chris Jericho. And it was a very great match both ways. It was very interesting, like you mentioned. Very, very right.
Strap on.
And you mentioned that the women's match made you mad. Was it the ending with Dana Brooke? Because it really felt like they needed to find a job for Dana Brooke. Like, all right, Emma's injured. What can we have Dana Brooke do? We need somebody to interfere in this match. All right, Flair, bring an extra robe. We'll put it on her. Let's her give her a down the aisle and let's her interfere in that match, right?
Yeah, I was not a fan of that. Like, come on, yeah.
Where would you go from now? Where would you go from now, Thomas? Where would you go from now in the women's division now?
Repeat that?
Where would you go from now in the women's division? Would you go with another program or continue in a feud between Natty and Charlotte?
I don't know.
A very good question. Travis from California, thank you very much for calling.
What about range?
Yeah, what about Reigns, right? Still the
I
champion?
see. Honestly, like that pissed me off so much.
What part of it made you angry?
Like he just beat the hell out of him with a chair. The same style, was like, what?
Yep. Travis,
Like literally, dude. It's cancer. Like, come on. That's like physically impossible.
it is exactly. It's what everybody's angry about. It's a great spot. AJ Styles got the chair, beats everybody up. Yes, yes, yes. The arena's going crazy. The Rock is rocking tonight in Newark. But then
Yeah.
Roman Reigns just spears and it's the 1, the 2, the 3. It's over.
That's what I'm saying. Like literally, you can't spear this in midair, okay? Just keep shit.
Exactly.
I'm angry, dude. Literally, oh my god.
It was very, very disappointing. Travis from
But hey,
California.
Rollins came back.
Yeah, well, Rollins came back, but I'm kind of disappointed the way they came back, Travis. I'm going to be honest with you. I was expecting more fanfare, and I played the music to start the show because people needed that music. The fix was there. You needed that moment. You didn't really need Rollins to pedigreed Roman because the match was already over. Well, what's the physicality for? They shouldn't touch each other.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
The way it should have been done, it's Roman's in the ring. He just won. He's got the belt. Then the music starts. And then people are going to go crazy. And you keep them apart. They don't touch until the pay-per-view. And it's a lost art. I do believe that they have to save the physicality for when it matters.
Yeah. I agree with that. But I still think, that it shouldn't have gone that way. But I think he should have, did the dropkick, even though it's banned, of course, but they should have done that because, it probably hurt a little bit. Yeah, it hurt some, sorry. Probably hurt a little bit more on Roman,
Yeah, well, I think we're already lucky to have seen 2 styles clash tonight. Once on actually a chair by AJ Styles. And it's very surprising to see Roman Reigns go for that move, being not necessarily the most savvy of wrestler. And the Styles clash is safe, but we have seen wrestler like Yoshitatsu 2 years ago being injured and having his literally is neck broken in Japan. Travis of California, thank you very much for calling tonight.
All right, yeah. By the way, Roman's fag. Honestly, he's fag.
Yep, Roman sucks. Absolutely. I have to agree with you. Travis from California. Do like Travis. Give us a call. 802-375-7445. What did you think about the pay-per-view tonight? We had a match to start the pay-per-view, which was kind of not disappointing, but that tag match just served its purpose. You had a kind of the tweeners of the Usos now. They're not necessarily babyface, but they're not heels either. When they're by themselves, people still like him. Hey, it's the Usos. Yay, the gimmick. And they dance a little bit. They're kind of happy, but they know that Roman Reigns is not too far. They know they're associated with him. So whatever is associated with Roman Reigns, people boo and shit on right now. And it's fine. And Gallows and Anderson, they're actually cheered and liked, but they're working like heels. So it's still, both teams are like tweeners. So it did give a weird dynamic to the match. Gallows and Anderson eventually were put over strong over the Usos. And you kind of knew that it wasn't the last time you were seeing both those teams in the night because everybody knew that both of them would have shown up in the main event to either cost Reigns or maybe even turn on AJ Styles. But that didn't happen. We didn't have no tease of Bullet Club, Balor Club, no tease of Finn, no tease of turn on AJ, and no big tease of actually AJ going full heel either. Tonight, the storyline didn't really go forward in that sense. And because of the Rollins presence, it kind of feels like that storyline is finished, but it'll be interesting to see if that storyline goes further. We're going to the open line, area code 352. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Brian from Bellevue, Florida.
How you doing, Brian?
How you doing?
I'm great. What do you think about tonight's pay-per-view?
Oh, it was really good. Like, I love the Fatal 4-Way. The Fatal 4-Way, it started off really good. Like, I'm not the big fan of Miz, but if he won, he won, Like, no big deal there.
Was it your
But,
your match of the night? That Fatal 4-Way?
excuse me, repeat that.
Was it your match of the night, the Fatal 4-Way?
No, it wasn't the match of the night. I would say the match of the night was definitely the Ambrose Asylum.
It was a very interesting match. I think it was really different too. Maybe that gives a lot of credence the fact that we are not used to seeing that type of match.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the old days of like Mick Foley, bringing out the barbed wire 2x4 and then the thumbtack.
Absolutely. The nunchucks was interesting too, because the spot where he actually starts to use them properly, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, when the thumbtacks came out, I was definitely freaking out. It was nuts.
I had a feeling, Brian, I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching the Go Home Raw and you saw the Asylum cage go down and you saw the pail on top. Nothing's explained, nothing's there, but you just saw an empty pail. And I'm like, what could be in that pail? What spot could they make? Water, liquid? It's too predictable. Tax. It's got to be tax.
Yeah. Yeah, I see.
Go ahead.
I seen the bag and I definitely thought, thumbtack. And I would say it's probably one of my favorite parts of the night. I felt the women's championship was also good until it's Natalya kind of got gypped out there at the end.
Rollins back and Reigns is still the champion. Any thoughts on the way they finished the match tonight, Brian?
On Reigns? On Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
No, okay, actually, so, I do want to get you started. This is the place to get you started, Brian.
All right. Okay, so I just felt like the match was actually going good until it, like, towards the end, it started curving off when Dallas and Anderson came out. Like, as far as the club and the bloodline, I feel like it makes both characters just seem very weak, like, and they can't defeat each other by themselves. And it kind of irritates me. And then, like, Roman Reigns, he's just built like a tank, I guess. Takes, like, 8 chair shots, and it doesn't affect him at all.
It's exactly it. That's exactly it, Brian. They're trying to build him up so much, and it's laughable. You're looking at it like, come on. Dude, come on.
Yeah.
I'm already willing to sit in front of my TV and watch 3 hours of your shed. Don't take me for an idiot on top of it, Give me a break.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely like, especially like everybody, when they're going through the fans, you just hear like everybody's booing Roman Reigns and just telling him that he's a bad wrestler. It's like the bad wrestling chant, like you suck and all that.
Yeah. Well, we had a you can't wrestle chant. We had a Roman suck, and after a couple of good Roman spots like the sunset flip on the table and all that, we had Roman, you still suck chant. So how more clear can the fans be?
I know. And the thing is, it's like, I know my favorite wrestler is not always gonna win, but they're trying to like push Roman as a face, and like they're trying to get everybody to like him, but the crowd does not want him. That's the whole thing. And we're just trying to reject him out. And WWE, I guess, cannot see that.
Any thoughts on Rusev, the new U.S. champion? Kalisto, the way they actually built him up with the whole week long on WWE.com, talk about his injuries, back is iffy, and then the spot on Hardland close to the apron, and that huge accolade that basically Rusev actually broke him in half. Any thoughts on that championship match?
That was actually a really interesting match because when he actually hit that apron, I really thought he was actually injured because the ref was selling out pretty good, and then Rusev actually putting him in that submission, and I thought he was legitimately hurt. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I hope he's not injured, like, because I actually like Kalisto, but I don't mind Rusev being a champion. Like, definitely good wrestler.
Last thing, Brian, tonight, what do you think about Rollins' comeback? He's back. Where should he slot him?
I personally, I love Rollins, and I'm glad that he's back. I thought his entrance could have been like a bit better. Like, I felt like they could have let off like the curve song, bringing that back.
Yeah.
The pedigree just seemed kind of a little weak. Or even bringing it back on Raw might have been even a little more interesting, where everybody got to see that, he's back.
I have to agree with you, especially on the pedigree move type of thing. It feels lame to me because it doesn't feel fresh. Everything else about the character, his moveset, his attitude, his gravitas, his gumption, his testicle fortitude seems fresh, but he brings a lame move from Triple H in his moveset and as his finisher, and it just doesn't fit with the rest of him.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's like if they would have let off the curse on it, lets the crowd know that the old Seth Rollins is back and he's ready to come back and fresh.
Exactly. Brian, thank you very much for calling tonight.
All right, thank you, man. It's been an honor.
All right. You can do like Brian and Travis. Give us a call. 802-375-7445. Like we talked about, the U.S. Championship match, Kalisto Rusev, was interesting. Like the beginning of the match, first 5 minutes, it wasn't like long. It was like, 13 minutes? The first 5 minutes were boring. A couple of move exchange here and there. Kalisto made his known comeback as of now, where he escapes a couple moves, does an enziguri, trying to goes for the Salute del Sol, but that's where it got complicated. Rusev turned around, backdropped him right on the apron from the top rope. He sold it like crazy, like his back was broken in half. Refs push Rusev's away. No. We're taking care of him. No, come back, go back. Give us space. Well, we're taking care of Kalisto. Shove the refs, Kalisto. Puts him in the middle of the ring, folds him in half for the worst or the best accolade I've ever seen. Destroying poor Kalisto, not giving him a chance at all. Kalisto has to tap. He is still being kept strong because the commentators are putting him over, saying, oh, he's forced to tap. It's not his fault. He already had a back injury, and now he's folded in 15. They made a swan origami and paper with him. So he had to tap, no choice. So he's still kept strong. Well, it's interesting where he goes from now. He lost. Is he going to feud or continue to feud with Rusev? It's interesting to see Rusev trying to build up that U.S. Championship like he did about 2 years ago. That's interesting. Like our callers mentioned, we had the IC title match tonight. Intercontinental Championship match, Fatal 4-Way. It is my match of the night for me. Yes, the Asylum match was good. It was a smoke and mirrors, very well laid out match for the Asylum match, first ever. But the Fatal 4-Way, the way it was laid out, the Owens-Zayn feud, intricate in this overall Fatal 4-Way feud, is very interesting. The kind of things they can do going forward with those two characters it's a great possibility. It reminds me a little bit about Shawn and Brett back then, when you can use them in different feuds, but there's always the background feud of Shawn and Brett together. And that's very interesting. You can do a lot of possibilities. You have a background feud that you can put on the foreground once in a while when it's a big time, where it comes WrestleMania or whatever, but it gives a lot of credence to those two. And it gives a different feel to a feud in those two characters because of that feud stand out of the rest of the show. And that's what you want. Characters standing out, so nothing is similar, nothing is the same. And tonight, even though it could have been gimmick crazy because a lot of gimmick match, I think it was actually kept pretty decently secured. What I mean is, every match was not overshadowing the other one. There was not 20,000 chair shots to the head in every match to make every one of them meaningless. There was not one Extreme Rules match before the other one that would use the same spot that the other one after would use. Every match was laid out in a way that he felt individual, singular, and were impeding on the spots of the other matches. So for that reason, Extreme Rules for me is a thumbs up pay-per-view. It might have not ended the way would have liked because of the AJ Styles loss, and the spot where AJ Styles destroys everybody with the chair and about to go hit Roman Reigns with that phenomenal forearm and then get speared in midair. 1, 2, 3. Yes, the timing was great. Yes, it was clean though, and it was not necessarily believable after the amount of chair shot that Roman just had like a minute prior to that. So for that reason, I think this is why the fans on Twitter and our callers are mad at that, because they were expecting a little better. They were maybe expecting a turn or something else in the result of this match. And I have to say, they needed to play that music. They really didn't have to put Rollins and physicality with Roman and Rollins. Seth and Roman Reigns didn't need to touch each other. just the music starts. Seth walks on the stage, does the belt sign, saying, I want my belt. No words needs to be exchanged. No blows needs to be exchanged. Only looks and only that music. But no, they didn't. And that's the big return that you could have done, that big pop. You needed that big pop. And the way they made his return, they deprived the fans of that big pop. So I think it's unfortunate the way it all played out, but they should have. He played that music when he actually started coming out. Can you imagine? He's on stage. He's making the belt move. My belt. I want my belt. I never lost, Roman. You never beat me for that title. You never beat the chosen one. You never beat the future for this belt. Well, guess what? The future is back. And he's back to get his belt. So I know you've been keeping that belt all shined up and all warm for me. But in the month, I'm Money in the Bank, Roman. I'm coming for it. I'm going to take that belt from you clean down the ring. Because you can't beat me. You never had, and you never will. That's what we needed to see tonight. Not a, oh, he's back. Rollins, Peter Grazer. You already sold like the finish of maybe next month's pay-per-view, or you already gave us the image of Rollins with the belt in the middle of the ring. That image should only have been saved for after the match, when he actually was wanted. Not before. We shouldn't have seen the image of Rollins with the belt until he actually wins it. Supposed to feel special. But no. I think the 1 second surprise they're trying to sell us, they don't realize that with that surprise in that moment, they ruined what they can do with the guy. Proper way to do it would have been his music. And granted, that's how he's going to be introduced tomorrow, and that's probably to be the type of promo he does on Roman. Why couldn't he have done it tonight and kind of do a different type of similar promo tomorrow night on Raw? No. And that's what bothers me sometimes, is it's not rocket science. But I guess when you're too many people talking about the same subject, trying to banter off each other, it's the lowest common denominator that wins, and usually that's the stupid idiot in the room. And I'm not talking about Chris Jericho. Give us your thoughts on tonight's Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Lines are open, 802-375-7445. New Day retains on the Vaudevillains. Nothing special, a couple of great spots. Vaudevillains are strong and they're decent workers, and New Day is good at storytelling, and there was a type of heely finish for the New Day, but they're well known for that now because of the fact that Kofi was the third man out, so he wasn't competing, but he did interfere when the referee was not looking. Woods was able to get the pin, and they retained. Nothing special, but still. A silent match was the second best match of the night for me after the four-way IC match. And yeah, they were following each other. And I like the way the pay-per-views are built now, because even the women's match or any match, there's no match that feels like a filler match now. Outside of Kalisto, maybe. In that pay-per-view, there's not really a match that felt like it was a filler. And I think that's a positive for the company. Not using or not putting like the women's match in a spot where it's made to fail. So I have to agree with that. Outside of tonight, my least, you're going to ask me, Kevin, what's your least favorite moment of that pay-per-view? The Dana Brooke, the way she came out. Dana Brooke looks awesome. Dana Brooke is decent and believable. She has a fitness, muscular, weightlifting type of background. Gymnastic too, I think. Which is fine. And she's going to be a very decent and competent worker. But always trying to pair her up with somebody. And the fact that Emma's injured, what do we do with her now? I don't know. We need somebody to go down the aisle to interfere in that match, and Ric Flair's banned. What do? We do this. Kind of it feels like it's last minute, and I kind of feel like it's a shame because that feud deserves better. That spot, that match, and that belt deserves better than always screw finish. And if you do that too often with that belt, you're actually taking some credibility off that belt, which now, for once, in the women's division, first of all, it's not the divas anymore. So stop treating them like diva. And for once in the women's division, the belt means something. Stop booking it like it doesn't mean anything. Because if you continue to do this for a couple months, it's going to devalue that belt. And that's the last thing you want to do when you were actually successful in propping up that championship belt to begin with. So stop booking it like it was the IC title, please, and get the matches, clean finishes, and it'll make Charlotte go over strong on opponents. Doesn't matter if she's a heel, she can't go over strong. She's a Flair after all. That should be more important. Asylum match, I really like the Asylum match, I'm not gonna lie. Great spots with the strap, with the mop, with the tax, and Chris Jericho took the tax twice. On a dirty deed, he did protect himself, but he was actually, look at his forearm after bloodied his back as well. Not necessarily enjoyable, and Chris Jericho was able to sacrifice, and he went over. Well, no, he did the job. Ambrose went over, and that's what was expected, and it happened, and good for Ambrose. He won his match, maybe creating a precedent of Ambrose dominating and being a blow-off type of match for the once-a-year big feud that Ambrose can have with somebody else. That is a very good possibility. Last call for open lines here, 802-375-7445 here on Dial the Owls Radio. If you want to give us an email and your thoughts on the pay-per-view tonight, you can do so on sportspodcastingnetwork@gmail.com. You listen now to the live portion of the network. We are powered by the Sports Podcasting Network, where you can find the archive of Down the Aisle Wrestling podcasts, our great interviews we made with prominent actors of the wrestling business over the last few years. You can find as well your favorite soccer, basketball, and football, all your favorite sports shows. You can find them on the Sports Podcasting Network. And give us a call, 802-375-7445, on Twitter @SportsPodNet, or myself, Kevin Laramee, at KevLaramee. That's KEVLARAMEE. Stay tuned for the Sports Podcasting Network. We have a caller, unknown phone number, calling from parts unknown. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Wade.
How you doing, Wade?
I'm doing good.
What's up? What do you think about the pay-per-view tonight?
It was pretty good.
What's your favorite moment of tonight?
The fatal foursome.
It was awesome, wasn't it?
Yep. Roman Reigns.
What's that about, Roman? Go ahead.
He's a faggot.
All right. Thank you for calling, my friend. That was bound to happen one night or another, and it's kind of fun that it's tonight. Roman Reigns is not necessarily everybody's favorite wrestler. I have to agree with you. But we can't go on and saying those type of words here on the air, my friends. All right. You can give us a follow on Twitter @DownTheOwlPod. That's @DownTheOwlPod. And until next time on SPN Radio and the Sports Podcasting Network, I am Kevin Laramee, and my friends, be careful when you take that bump. You were listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit us, sportspodcastingnetwork.com.